Hey guys, it's Chris from Highline Guitars, and you're watching another episode of From the Luthier's Workbench, or as in the case today, it's from the Luthier's desk in his office. And I'm going to give you kind of a break on updates for my CNC routing machine project that I've been working on. As it turns out, I had to order a couple of little minor pieces to finish out the machine, so hopefully those parts will be in today or tomorrow, and then I can get that finished and do the testing, and in a week or so I'll be able to post the final update on how the machine turned out. Also, I have shot a time-lapse video of the assembly process, and that I've edited, and then I'm going to do another video which will talk about these electronic power and control system, and then once those two parts are done, I'll post those up so you can watch how the whole project came together. But that's down the road. Now, what I wanted to talk about in this episode is I actually want to initiate a conversation between me and all of you out there about a subject that I know very little about, that I think is going to have potentially a major impact on the hobby and the business of building and or selling guitars. And that is all this talk about tariffs and trade negotiations and trade agreements and level playing fields and all that stuff. I don't know that much about it. I'll be honest with you. I've done a little bit of reading, probably about the same amount as most everybody else out there. But one thing I do know from my experience in business is that anytime there's even a hint of the possibility that prices could go up, they will. And they will go up and they will never come down. And so when people started talking about trade wars and the tariffs and all this stuff, I started to think, well, this is going to drive up the prices of guitars for sure. And the components that we use to build them, since almost everything that we use is coming from, China, South Korea, Vietnam. Even companies that are based in the United States or even in Europe are using parts that are manufactured in those countries, in China and South Korea, Vietnam. And then they bring those components in and finish the assembly and then send it out to their customers. So I can't help but think that if a trade war blows up, as some of the media is saying it will, that could lead to increased pricing for everything that we use to build our guitars, with the exception of the wood. The wood's just going up in price on its own. So I thought it would be a great opportunity here to kind of initiate a conversation with everybody out there about what your thoughts and feelings are about this subject and what you think might happen. And because I, for one, I'm not an expert at all. I just know from my experience that when there's a rumor, even if it's a minor rumor, that prices could adjust or shift, they will, and they will go up. And so it kind of remains to be seen exactly what's going to happen. I know that a lot of luthiers, and in fact I myself have been on the receiving end of occasional emails from companies in South Korea, China, Vietnam, which have all expressed a desire to establish a relationship where I could send my designs to them, and then they in turn would manufacture the guitars for me. So in a sense, I'd be outsourcing all my luthiery work, which I've always resisted it for one simple reason. I'm in this because I like to make guitars, not because I want to have somebody else make them for me. I do realize though that because how expensive it is to build guitars and how hard it is to compete with the instruments that are coming out of those countries, that from a business standpoint it would be smart if I did outsource to those companies. But I've resisted that for so many years, and there's always been a temptation to maybe consider it because of the financial advantage. But now I'm kind of glad that I didn't, because I'm starting to wonder if this trade imbalance, trade war, tariff situation is going to either jack up the price of those guitars so that, you know, instead of spending $100 for this cheapo guitar that comes with an amplifier and a gig bag, you're going to be spending $600 to $800 for that same guitar a year or so from now. I don't know if that's going to happen. That's why I'm trying to initiate this conversation, is to sort of see what everybody else thinks could be the fallout from all of this. And, you know, I recognize the government's desire to bring manufacturing back into the United States, or to at least try to level the playing field with regard to trade. And what has always concerned me the most is the not just the undercutting the cost of the guitars that they're selling that are similar to what we build, but the outright blatant copyright infringement that just goes on completely unpunished, and how unfair that is. I really believe that one of the reasons why Gibson is in so much trouble today is because of the knockoffs, that they simply can't stop. And, you know, whether or not this whole situation that's occurring now is going to take care of that or not, I don't know. And I would encourage all of you out there who are watching this, if you have some thoughts or opinions, please do post them in the comments below. Keep them clean, because YouTube's watching. I think we're getting into a situation, and that's a whole nother topic that I'm not even going to get into, but they're starting to kind of clean up what is posted up on YouTube, which I think is a good thing. It's one of the reasons why I never use foul language and ridiculous attitude when I talk about guitars. Don't get me started on that. Anyway, we can have a conversation here, you know, post in the comments below, you know, your thoughts about this whole thing, and, you know, I'll do my best to try to moderate it. And or I've got my Highline Guitars Facebook page, and I'll post a link to this video in that page, and, you know, maybe we can talk about a little bit there. And then perhaps in a future episode, when things start to get a little clearer, I'll post a follow-up and talk about what everybody else seems to think, and where we feel this could be headed. Because in business, you want to always be proactive, and you want to try to plan a strategy out for the future based on what you know is going to happen. And this is something I don't really have a good handle on. I just have some gut instincts about it. So I really want to try to get a better feel for it as I plan and prepare and proceed into the future. So with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and sign off. And don't forget, I've been trying to post my weekly quick tips. I posted one on Wednesday where I talked about why you need to have 2 sets of strings when you set up a guitar. And you know, I'll keep trying to do that every Wednesday. And then, of course, typically every Friday I try to post another episode from the Luthier's Workbench. So I will sign off for now, and keep an eye out for the quick tips, and we will see you in the next episode from the Luthier's Workbench. So take care.